The Bluetooth device is connected successfully.
Without saying a word, you can light up the dark. Try as I could never explain what I hear when you don't say a thing. 3, 2, 1. There's a smile on your face, lets me know that you need me. There's a truth in your eyes, saying you'll never leave me. Touch of your hand, seems to catch me wherever I fall. You say best when you say nothing at all.
DJ Jonel sa Dino Remix.
All day long I can hear people talking out loud. Yeah. But when you hold me near, drown out the crowd. Oh, Mr. Webster could never decide what's been said between your heart and pride. 3, 2, 1. The smile on your face lets me know that you need me. There's a truth in your eyes, saying you'll never leave me. Touch of your hand, seems to catch me wherever I fall. You say best when you say nothing at all.
DJ Jonel sa Dino Remix. You're listening to the hottest music of DJ Jonel sa Dino Remix.
I remember all my life, raining down the stones shadows of a man, a face through a window, crying in the night.
Shoutout po, Sir Philip. Shoutout po sa'yo. Shoutout po. Dumikit po si Sheena Jane po sa'yo. So, hintay po. Magbibigay sila ng maraming dikit po sa'yo. Hello everyone, for this video, I'll be talking to
Dancing to the beat, reaching
There are actually
the
two classifications of tests according to this one. So one of which is the standardized test, the second one is the teacher-made test. When we say standardized tests, these are actually tests that have been carefully constructed by experts to bring the right concept test. And for the teacher-made test, these are constructed by classroom teachers which measures and appraise student progress in terms of specific classroom and instructional objectives. These are different examples of standardized tests that we need to consider. First is the ability test, of which it combines verbal and numerical ability, reasoning, and computation. Another example of a standardized test is the aptitude test, of which it intends to measure potentials in a specific field or area. It can also predict the degree of which an individual will succeed in any given area, such as art, music, mechanical tasks, or academic studies. These are now the different teacher-made tests that we need to consider, okay, when we are constructing a classroom test. There are two sub-classifications for this teacher-made test. We can have objective type, or we can have essay type, or we can in the form of a single word or phrase, or maybe symbols. Okay? And for essay type, essay questions provide freedom of response that is needed to adequately assess a students' ability to formulate, organize, integrate, and evaluate information or knowledge and skills. So as you can see in the PowerPoint presentation, there are several types of objective exams. Okay, we can classify further objective type of exam as limited response type and the free response type or the supply type test. Under the limited response, we can use multiple choice type of test. We can use multiple choice type of test. We can also do matching type of test or the true or false type of test, or we can say the alternative response. For the free response type or supply type, which is one category of the objective type of test, we can give short answer. Okay, we can give short answer or maybe completion test. Okay, under this essay type of exam, we can use or we can give restricted essays or extended essays. So these are the two types of essay type of exam. We have the restricted and extended. So let's concentrate first to the two objective type of test, which are the limited response type and the free response type or supply type of test. If we define limited response type of test, this requires students to select the answer from a given number of alternatives or choices. While in free response type or supply type of test, it requires students to supply or give the correct answer. So this will be the difference between the limited response type and the free response type, or the supply type of test. So under this limited response type of test, as we said a while back, um, we can use multiple choice type of test, okay, of which it consists of 10, 3 to 5 alternatives or the options, which only one is correct or definitely better than the other. The correct options or choice or alternative in each item is merely called answers or answer, and the rest of the alternatives are called distractors, or we can also call it as decoys or maybe foils. Okay, so these are the other words, okay, other term for the distractors. These are the wrong answers or wrong choices in the given multiple choice statement. Okay, that one has to respond or mark true or false. Make, we can also say right or wrong, correct or incorrect, or maybe yes or no, fact or opinion, agree or disagree, and the like. It is a test made up of items which allows dichotomous responses. From the word dichotomous means there are only two possible choices. Okay, as we said a while back, whether it is true or false, whether it is right or wrong, correct or incorrect, yes or no, and among others. So this will be what we call alternative response or the true or false type of test. For the third type of the limit response in the objective type of test, it is the matching type. Okay, this consists of two parallel columns with each word, number, or symbol in one column being matched to a word or sentence or maybe phrase in the other column. The items in column 1 or maybe column A for which a match is sought are called premises. And the items in column 2 or column B from which the selection is made are called the responses. So there are two parts of this matching sequence. We have the premises and the response. Premises is usually located in column A or column 1, while the responses or the choices is located or are located in the column B or column 2. So that is matching type of test. For the free response type, as we said a while back, we can have short answer type of test, or this what we call completion answer. It uses a direct question that can be answered by a word, by a phrase, number, or symbol. While in completion type of test, it consists of an incomplete statement that can also be answered by a word, phrase, number, or symbol. Okay, so the difference between the two is in the short answer it is a direct question, but in the completion type of test is they need to fill up or to complete a particular statement. They need to fill up the blank on that particular statement. Okay, so these are the two types of a free response type of test. So let's consider also the subjective type of test, and that is the essay type of test. So as we said a while back, there are two classifications of essays. We can have restricted essay, or we can also go or give extended essay. So our major concern here is to differentiate the two. Okay? So when we say restricted essay, this limits both the content and the restriction to select any factual information that they think is pertinent to organize their answers in accordance with their best judgment and think appropriate. Okay? In terms of scoring, it is very difficult because as we know, essays are based on the opinions of the learner. Say their answers are wrong. Okay? So in giving marks for this essay responses, we need to use a tool which will be our guide in giving marks or scores. on this outputs of our student. And this tool is what we call the scoring rubric. Okay? Okay? So these are examples of restricted essay. Okay, restricted essay. First, describe the situations that demonstrate the application of the law or of supply and demand. Do not use those examples discussed in the class. So in this first situation, um, we have already restricted the response of the students, okay, in answering this response of the students, okay, in answering this particular essay question or essay assignment or essay activity, which is not requiring anymore to present the examples presented during your or their discussion. Okay? So in that case, na-restrict lang natin yung possible response ng mga bata. Okay? Do not use those examples discussed in the class or in class. For the second situation, state the main difference between the Vietnam War and the previous wars in which the United States has participated. Okay? Vietnam Wars and previous wars. However, we will only consider the United States, the participation of the United States. And we know all entire the world, okay, participated different wars, global wars. Okay, so however, in this particular situation, we only concentrate to the participation of the United States. So that's why we have already restricted the topic, okay, in answering that particular essay by simply dealing with the participation of the United States for this Vietnam War and other previous wars. Okay, this is the second scenario. So for the second one, we again restrict this particular question or activity, essay activity. For the third, why is barometer one of the most useful instrument for forecasting weather? Okay, answer in brief paragraph. There are expected fixed answers to question since based from the possible activity that the students will do on this question, they will just answer it in brief paragraph. So by simply answering it in brief, it means you are restricting the possible responses of your students in terms of or in a brief way. Okay, in a brief way. So this is again an example of a restricted response essay. Example of a restricted response essay. For the non-restricted or the extended essay response, okay, or essay question, let's consider the following. The first one is, if you were Charlotte, what would you have written in your web and why? Okay, so this is very open-ended question. Charlotte, what would you have written in your web? And in this case, you did not restrict the response of your students. Just let them answer, present their ideas and insights if they let themselves as the Charlotte. Okay, so magiging open-ended itong question na ito. That's why we will consider this as one example of an extended response essay questions or question. Second scenario or second essay question is, imagine that you and friend found a magic wand. Write a story about an adventure that you and your friend had with the magic wand. Okay, so you let them present a particular story in this case. If, say for example, they found a magic wand, let them write a story about the adventure that they will be doing with this particular magic wand. So writing a story, it is very open-ended. So therefore, the second situation is also an example of an essay question. For the third, compare the development in international relations in the administration of President William Clinton and President George W. Bush. Cite examples when possible. There are many, okay? There are many development. There are George W. Bush. Remember, we are answering an essay question in this case. So it is open since the one who presented this question is um he presented or he let the test taker present samples when possible. So in this case, we are trying to extend the discussion of this comparison on the development of or in international relations in the administration of William Clinton and George W. Bush. So still, the third one is an example of an extended essay question. Okay? And these are the other classifications of a test. First, psychological test. It aims to measure students' intangible aspects of behavior, such as intelligence, attitudes, interests, and aptitude. While educational test, it aims to measure the results, effects of instruction. For the sorbet test, it measures general level of students' achievement over a broad range learning outcomes and tend to emphasize norm reference interpretation. Okay? We can also have mastery test. It measures the degree of mastery, okay, of a limited set of specific learning outcomes and typically use criterion reference interpretation. This test is used when teacher wants to determine the mastery level of the students after presenting or giving lecture to a particular competency. It will help the teacher evaluate his or her learners of students in vocabulary, one in which words are very necessary, and the examinee should be equipped with vocabulary and attaching meaning or responding to test items. For the last one, we have the nonverbal test. Nonverbal test, one in which words are not that important. The students respond to test items in the form of drawings, pictures, or maybe designs. We can also give individual tests. This individual test is administered to a one-to-one basis using careful oral questioning. It can also be an interview. It is through an interview. It is usually administered to group of individuals. Questions are typically answered using paper and pencil techniques. We can also have power tests, okay, and speed tests. These are also classifications of tests. When we say power test, it was designed to measure level of performance under sufficient time condition. Consists of items arranged in order of increasing difficulty. While speed test is designed to measure the number of items an individual can complete in a given difficulty. So these are the different types of tests, whether it is standardized tests or teacher-made tests. So I hope you have learned something about the different test formats, okay, that is usually developed by test developers or test constructors. So this will now be the end of this video clip presentation. Thank you again for watching to my video, and this will be my next video clip presentation, which will be creation of the table specification, which is very much important. So table specification is our new prescribe when we are constructing our test instrument. Now take note that we will be able to build content validity if we will first construct our table specification. And note guys that before you construct a test, you need to have first our TOF, because this will be our guide in constructing test instruments. There are actually two types of table specification. We have the one-way table specification and the two-way table specification. So under one way, it is actually a one-dimensional TOF. It's a
dimension lang siya, whether in a statistical table, one dimension. Kung meron ka lang column headers, wala ka ng row classifiers dyan. Or wala kang column headers pero meron kang row classifier. So one dimension lang siya. Kaya siya tinawag na one-way TOS. For the two-way TOS, it is two-dimensional. Meron kang row classifier, okay? And meron ka ding column headers. So who will serve as the row classifiers? Who will serve as the column headers? So we'll be creating. I will try to give you a lecture as to how to construct TOS with respect to one-way, two-way, okay? If possible, pwede rin three-way. Meron din tayong mga three-way specifications. Pero medyo mahirap ang gawin nyo. Okay? So ang target lang natin is to construct one-way and two-way table of specifications. And these are our steps in constructing our table of specifications. First, we need to list the subject matter which has been taught after a definite period of time in terms of units, problems, areas, and among others. Then the second one is we need to determine objectives, specific knowledge, or skills to be evaluated. That is the second step. The third step is we need to find out the number of recitations spent for each subject matter, units, or area. By the number of items in our STEM instrument. For the fourth one, we need to find out the total number of items desired to be administered. This depends largely on the nature of the test and length of the time spent in the subject matter or discipline. For the next step, which is the fifth one, is to find out the number of items for each subject matter as well as the objectives by dividing the total number of repetitions and the questions multiplied by the number of items on the test. Later on, I'll be presenting to you the problem in step number 5. Then number 6, distribute the number of items for each subject matter among the different objectives, cognitive, affective, and psychomotor domains. Then the seventh one, the last one, is to construct now the test observing the principles of test construction. Take care to group together questions belonging to specific instructional objectives. So this will now be an example of a one-way table specification. Okay. So we have column headers in this case. The column headers are area of content, number of hours, or number of recitations, number of items, and test placement. Okay, so the area of content, these are now the list of topics, or these are the list of objectives that we are trying to attend in taking the lesson. Okay, then the number of items, this will be the the numbers of items in our test instrument. How do we come up with these values? For you to come up with the values of your number of items, we will, and the last column will be the item placement or test placement na tinatawag. On this item, under magpo-fall dito sa definition of their asa 8, okay? Where are the 8 items? So this is the item placement. So these are important parts of a one-way table of specification. So for you to be able to come up with the number of items, okay, for you to be able to come up with the number of items, we will be utilizing the formula given in the PowerPoint. This is the range of items. It is equal to the number of hours in discussing the content over the total number of hours, okay, multiplied by the desired number of items. How many items are you planning to build? Okay, so let's say, for example, let's compute the number of items of this particular example. The number of items is equal to 7 over 40 multiplied by 45. What does this mean? That we have discussed this topic in 7 hours. Okay, in 7 hours. Yung 40 na yon, this will be the total number of hours that you use in discussing all your lessons. Okay, all your Then yung 45 dyan is your desired number of items sa kanila. So we will multiply this by 45. So we need to do arithmetic here. We will have 7 divided by 40.9 or 8, which is now the range of our test item definition. So yan, from 7 hours na tinuro itong topic na definition of third. So from 45 items na plano mo ibigay sa kanila, we will be taking 8 items na third. So how did we get 8? It is by simply using formula. Okay? This formula. I hope you got it right. So for your practice exercise, I want you to verify the other computations of the number of items in this given example. Verify 3, verify 5, 3, 6, 6, 4, 3, 7 as the number of items of this next topic. Okay? So this will be your practice exercise. For your two-way table of specifications, as I said a while back, it is a two-dimensional table of specification. So meron kang column header, meron kang row classifier. Okay? So yung mga column headers mo, these are the topics. Yung mga row classifiers mo, these are the objectives. We are trying to intersect objectives and the topic. Okay? So under disposal of gardens, so for example, you thought it is 15 hours. In care and fertilization, you taught it in 10 hours. Under related activities, you use 15 hours, a total of 40 hours in teaching all the lessons or all the different topics. Okay? So, what does it mean? Based on this total number of recitations, we will be able to come up with this number of items, itong body ng ating table. To our students, which is equal to C. This 50 will be our guide, okay? And the formula presented a while back, okay? The formula presented a while back, okay? The formula presented a while back. So for you to be able to accomplish this table, we please be with this steps. We need to find the total number of cars, and given naman yan dito sa ating table. We need to find total A by using the formula given in the previous slide. Itong total A na ito, nasa baba, we need to find first before we fill up the itong mga nasa loob. Okay? So after identifying the number of hours, we will compute for total A. Okay, how do you compute for total A? How did we compute 19, 12, and 19? Of course, to be able for you to come up with this, we will be using this formula. Okay, 15, or to come up with 19, we will divide 15 by 40 and multiply it by 50 total number of items. To come up with 12, under care and fertilization, we will divide 10 by 40 times 50. Okay? And for the last one, the related activities, to come up with this 19, we will again divide 15 hours divided by 40 hours multiplied by 50. Okay? And this will now compose the 50 items. We will give 19 items under disposal of garden. It is a total of 50 items. Okay, let's go back to the step. After the second one, we will now proceed to the objectives depending on to the teacher. It would depend on us as the teacher. Okay, it would depend on us as the teacher. So, ito, from this 19, saan ko ngayon yan i-distribute? Okay, it's up to us. We will distribute based on our desire. Okay? Our desire. So, dito sa 19 na ito, I have given 4 items under knowledge level, 3 items under comprehensive level or comprehension level, 4 items under application, and 3 under analysis and synthesis, and I'll be giving another 5 items under under change in attitude, appreciation, and valuing. A total of 19 items for this topic number 1. For these 12 items, okay, under care and fertilization, again, it's up to you kung sino yung saan mo ilalagay itong 12 na ito. So dito nakalagay dito sa ating table, 3 items will be falling under knowledge, 2 under comprehension, 2 under application, 2 under analysis and synthesis, and 3 under change in attitude and application and valuing. And it will compose or a total of 12 items for care and fertilization. And ganon din dito sa related activities. Okay? After which, after distributing the items in all the objectives that we have set, we will get total D. Okay, we will sum up all these items falling under knowledge, falling under comprehension, falling under applications, analysis and synthesis, and the change in attitudes. So as you can see, under knowledge level, we came up with a sum of 11. That is 4 plus 3 plus 4. We came up with a sum of 8 under comprehension, 30 items under application, 9 items under analysis and synthesis, and lastly 12 items will come from the change in attitude and appreciation and valuing. Okay? And the last column will be the item placement. Saan mo ngayon ilalagay yung mga items na ito? Placing the 11 items from 1 to 11. Okay? For the next 8, we will have from 12 or item number 12 up to item number 19. For the 30 application exam or items, we will be placing it from item 20 up to item 29. Or that should be okay. That should be 29. Okay, and among others. Okay, and among others. This should not be 30. This should be 10. Okay, this should be 10. Itong 30 na ito. So please check. Yung 30 dyan, it should be 10. Okay, so that we will place it from 20 to 29. And from 30 to 38, it will be the analysis and synthesis level. So 9 items will come from this. So I hope you got it right. So this is our two-way table of specification. So thank you once again for watching to my video. And hello everyone. So this is another video clip presentation about general suggestions for writing assessment tests for item tests. Okay, so there are actually 8 important general suggestions when we are writing test items. Of course, one important suggestion is for us to use table of specifications as our guide in constructing the items. For the second one, we need to construct more items than needed, because later on when we will conduct reliability testing and validity testing, the possibility is there might items that will be rejected. So at least we will be able to have extra items in this particular manner. Okay. For the third suggestion, we need to write the test item or the test or the task ahead of the testing day, preferably a week before we will administer the exam. For the fourth suggestion, we need to write each test item or task at an appropriate reading level and difficulty. We can have or we can utilize the readability test, okay, which are readily available in the internet. It tells you if the test instrument that you have prepared really fitted to the grade level of your students. That is the fourth one. The fifth suggestion, we need to write each test item in a way that it does not provide help in answering other items or tasks. For the sixth, we need to write each test item so that the task to be performed is clearly defined and it calls forth the performance prescribed or described in the intended learning outcome. For the seventh, write a test item whose answer is one that would be agreed upon by the experts. And lastly, whenever a test is revised, always check its relevance. So these are the 8 important general suggestions when we are writing test items. So thank you again for watching to this video clip presentation. Have a good day everyone. Thank you. Hello everyone. Good morning to all. Thank you for watching to my video presentation. So for this video clip, I'll be talking about the different uses of tests with respect to instruction, guidance, and administration. So let's start first with the instructional uses of a test. The first one is grouping learners for instruction within a class. We give a test belonging to low group or slow learners. So through this particular test or exam, we may be able to identify such categories of learners. And of course, if we have already identified who are slow groups and who are high groups or fast learners and slow learners, it's where we may be able to identify who needs corrective and enrichment activities. Of course, sino sila? These are the slow groups. Okay, so in that particular case, we will be able to think possible intervention for these slow groups to cater their needs. Okay, with regards to your subject matter. For the third instructional use of the test, it measures class progress. Of course, this is informative assessment that we have tackled in my that I have tackled in my previous video clip presentation. We need to measure class progress for any given period of time. Okay, and this is one use of a test. Next is of course for us to assign grades or marks. This is for the purpose of assigning grades. So what type of test that we need to give when we want to assign grades or marks? It is the summative assessment. So this is also an instructional use of this for us to be able to assign grades. Next is the guiding, it serves as guiding activity for specific learners. For slow learners, average, and fast learners. Okay? Next, for guidance uses of this, we have the first one. It let us assist learners to set educational goals and vocational goals. Okay? It improves teacher, counselor, and parents' understanding of children with problems. The third one is it prepares us information or data to guide conference with parents about their children. Tests can determine interest in types of occupation not previously considered or known by the students. And lastly, these tests can predict success in future educational and vocational endeavor. So these are the 5 important uses of tests when it comes to guidance. When it comes to administration, it helps us determine emphasis to be given to the different learning areas in the curriculum. The test measures the school progress from year to year. This test can determine how well students are attaining worthwhile educational goals. It also determines appropriateness of school curriculum for students of different levels of ability. And lastly, tests can develop adequate basis for pupils' promotion or uses, guidance uses, and its administrative uses. So thank you once again for watching to my video presentation. So don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. Have a good day everyone, and may God bless you all. Have a good day everyone. So this video presentation will be all about the different types of assessment as to diagnostic assessment, formative assessment, and the summative assessment. So we'll be talking one by one, okay, and give several examples of these 3 types of assessment. So these three types of assessment are different. Okay, they are totally different when it comes to their purposes. So when we are giving assessment before we deliver our instruction, then that might be or that will be considered as a diagnostic assessment. So it might be or that will be considered as a diagnostic assessment. So the purpose of this diagnostic assessment is for you as the teacher to diagnose prior knowledge of your students. Are they ready for the next lesson? Are they ready for your subject matter? So for you to be able to know as teacher, you will be given or giving your students a diagnostic exam. So that is the purpose of the diagnostic examination. For the formative assessment, this is actually done during the instruction. So when we say done during the instruction, the teacher gives assessment every now and then while he or she discussed his or her lessons. So this is an example or this is a formative assessment. Okay? For summative assessment, of course, from the word summative, we sum up. It means we need to know the mastery. Is there a mastery on the part of the learners? This is done with the purpose of giving grades. Okay, this is done with the purpose of giving grades. So we need to find out whether or not the students really achieve your target or goals or educational goals and objectives for your subject. So this is all about the assessment. And these are the three types, basic types of assessment with different purposes. Okay, so let's start. Let's talk further with the diagnostic assessment. So when we define diagnostic assessment, this is actually described as to provide information that assists teacher planning and guide differential instruction. This is actually the definition or description of the descriptive assessment in the K-12 curriculum. For the teacher for teachers to be assisted, okay, in planning his or her instruction. So we bold with the word differentiated instruction. So what does it mean when we say differentiated instruction? We know that inside our classroom there are different types of learners. There are varied types of learners. So what does it mean? Every learner is different. Every learner is unique. So therefore, they have their own learning styles to learn the subject. So for you to be able to cater all these learners, different learners inside your classroom, will be doing is what we call differentiated instruction. So when we differentiate our instruction, we will also be given to your students, we will be using or giving an exam, which is what we call the diagnostic assessment. It's really the purpose of this type of assessment. So these are the different examples that we can give when we want to find out or when we want to diagnose students' prior knowledge. We can give a pre-test, okay, from the word pre means before, then give test before an instruction, or also give a survey check, or maybe a skills check, or this what we call KWHL or KWL. This was presented in the K-12 curriculum, intended for diagnostic assessment. We can also give video presentation or film analysis, okay? And maybe we can also let students to do misconceptions check. You present several concepts or terminologies and try to assess if there are misconceptions about these terminologies. If misconception occurs, then of course that will help you as teacher to decide what instruction will you give to them. Okay, so this is the big question that we often ask when we refer to diagnostic assessment. How will I know the prior knowledge of my students? So the answer here is through the diagnostic assessment. So this is an example, okay, of checking the prior knowledge of students. Write down everything you know about the RHBO. So as you can see, this question is an example of a question for diagnostic assessment. Why? Because we don't know, or the students don't really know about RHBO, because the teacher down everything they know about the RHBO. So of course, ang ginawa niya is the teacher gave immediate exam before discussing the lesson, before discussing the RH bills. Therefore, question is for the teacher to diagnose the student's readiness on RH. Okay, so this is a question with that corresponds to diagnostic assessment. Now, if the teacher gives this question after he discussed about RH bill, so meron nang alam yung mga bata dito about RH bill, so hindi na siya magiging diagnostic question. So that might be intended for a formative test, or maybe a part of a summative assessment. So nakadepende yan sa purpose ng assessment mo. Okay? So yun yung gusto kong ma-input sa inyo. This can be treated as a diagnostic question. It can also be treated as formative or summative. But in my case, or in my example, I treated this question as an example of a diagnostic assessment, because the teacher let or raised these questions first before he or she presented the lesson about RHBO. So this is what we call KWHL, which is also one tool or one instrument that what do we know. Okay, W refers to what do we want to find out. H refers to how can we find out what we want to learn. And L, what do we learn, or what did we learn? So, of course, if your target is to diagnose the student's understanding about this, until KWH lang siya. So, hindi pa nila yan, yung last column will not be answered, okay, in the diagnostic assessment. This will only be answered after, okay, after learning the lesson or that particular topic. So, we will raise the question, what did we learn? So, that will be for summative learn. So, that will be for summative or informative assessment. So until KWH lang or informative assessment. So until KWH lang kung ang bibigay mong assessment ay diagnostic assessment. And this is the modified KWL, okay? So still what I want, what is the concept? You need to identify the concept in this case. Then you list all the related concepts underlying the concepts that you have identified. What do you know about them? Then what I want to know or wonder about, or I think I will learn, okay, for this particular concept. Then how I might find out about. Then lastly, what have I learned? Again, if your intention is to diagnose lang ang answeran ng mga bata, will not yet answer what have I learned. Okay, kasi pagkatapos dapat ma-answeran after. Okay, so this is an example of KWH. For this question, what do you think? Is it a diagnostic question, or a formative question, or a summative question? After listening to the song Kapaligiran, ask the student, what are the environmental laws and policies that have been violated in the song? So in this case, the teacher only presented a song titled Kapaligiran, okay, without presenting any lesson or any RH bill or maybe executive order with regards to environmental laws. So ang ginawa ni teacher ay nag-present lang siya ng kanta. After presenting the song, he asked, what are the environmental laws and policies that have been violated in the song? So in this particular question, this will also be an example of a diagnostic question. Why? Because in that question, the teacher talks about or asks about environmental laws and policies. Okay? Environmental laws and policies with regard siguro sa kapaligiran, with regard to environment. So, students don't really know the different environmental laws and pattern. So still that is a diagnostic. Pero he also presented in different environmental policies, then asked this question, then this will be considered as a formative assessment or maybe part of a summative assessment. So in this case, in my example, I treated the question as a diagnostic question. I hope you got it right. So let's proceed to the second type of assessment, and that is the formative assessment. It provides information to guide teaching and learning for improving learning and performance. This is usually done during the instruction. Okay, during the instruction. While the teacher is discussing or the lesson, she gives test. Okay? So yun yung ginagawa ni teacher on formative assessment during the instruction. And these are examples. Okay? If my students take a will be considered as a formative test. Take grading students. Observing behaviors of students while during or while discussing the lesson, that can also be considered as a formative type of assessment through observation. Okay, so pwede pa rin yan yung observation. Or maybe it's words or words. Every now and then, since I'm a math teacher, every now and then, during my instruction, I do board working for my students. I let my students learning or alam ba talaga nila. So this will also be one way for us to check learning readiness or learning progress of our students. Okay, so this is all about formative assessment. So I just want to present to you different elements of formative assessment. Okay, these are based from different case studies and related researches. First, establishment of a classroom culture that encourages interaction and the use of assessment tools. Second, establishment of learning goals and tracking of individual student progress towards these goals. So we will track individual progress. Okay, so that is the main purpose of assessment. For the third one, we use varied instruction methods to meet diverse student needs. Okay? Actually, itong formative assessment is very critical. Okay? Since this is done during our instruction. So, if say for example, mistake, you have given a mistake assessment, formative assessment for your learners, then, ano yung magiging impact? Ano yung magiging effect? You cannot be able to determine if there is really progress on the part of your learners. So ang gagawin mo dito, since as what I'm emphasizing a while back, ang gagawin natin dito to cater the needs of our learners, since they are considered to be different, they are considered to be unique from each other, we give varied instruction. Ano kayong ibibigay kong instruction para sa bata ito? He loves doing. He loves writing. He loves showing pictures, say for example. He loves colorful materials. So ano kaya yung pwede kong ibigay sa mga batang ito, okay, with respect to their ability or maybe nature, okay, ability or nature. So ito yung number 3. We need to give varied instruction to meet diverse students' needs. Okay? Use of varied approaches to assessing students' understanding. And as I said a while back, we need also assessment. So we need to have different assessment tools. Okay? Different assessment tools with respect to the learning styles of our students. Because assessment tools, giving assessment tool that is not really fitted, to your learners, then this assessment tool will not be considered anymore to be reliable. Okay? Kasi in the first place, hindi fitted sa bata. Paano niya iti-take? So, we need also to consider the natures of our students when giving assessment, especially in the formative assessment. Okay? So for number 5, giving it is important to give feedback. Okay? Feedback on students' performance and adaptation of instruction to meet identified needs. So whom we give the feedback? We give the feedback to the parents of the learners, or maybe the learners themselves. Let them reflect. Okay, let them reflect. Ito yung score mo. Ito yung nakuha mo on this particular quiz. Ano nangyari sa inyo? Or anong nangyari sa iyo? So you let the students reflect on their own learning. You let them track their own learning. So this is the formative assessment. For number 6, active involvement of students in the learning process. Okay, so this is from OECD 2005, Formative Assessment Improving Learning in Secondary Classroom, OECD Publishing. For the summative assessment, so as what I'm saying, the purpose of this is for us to give grades, okay? For us to determine who is the first honor, second honor, third honor, and so on. It determines the degree of mastery or proficiency according to the identified achievement targets. Are they really proficient? How do we know? Did they master really the lesson? How did we know? Or how do we know? It is through this summative assessment. So an example for the summative assessment is a performance test. If we don't prefer to give paper and pencil test, we give performance test, or maybe project-based assessment or the product-based assessment. This performance test and product-based assessment are alternative assessment. So if we don't like to give alternative assessment to our students, we can give paper and pencil tests, and these are our post tests, periodic tests, midterm exams, final exams. So that is for us to determine the level or the degree of mastery or proficiency of our students on this particular set of lessons or objectives. Okay? We can also give portfolio package. It is a complete package. Bakit? Kasi nandun lahat. It is the compilation of students' students' performances. And of course, part of it is also the reflection of that particular student. Asan na ngayon si student na yan? So, in giving portfolio, don't forget to give also reflection, because one of the major parts of the portfolio of a portfolio assessment is the reflection. Okay, because it is where students will evaluate their own learning. Okay, it is where students will evaluate his or her own learning. We can also product-based assessment, kasi dito mo makikita, ay, puro theory lang siya. Asan yung product? So you need to let your students show a particular product on what they have learned. Okay, so this is a product-based assessment, which is also one way of giving a summative assessment. Okay, so these are the 3 important type of assessment that we can give inside our classroom. First, we have the diagnostic assessment. The purpose is for us to diagnose student readiness. Second, formative. This is used if we want to track learning progress by our students. And for the third, we have the summative assessment. The main purpose of this is for you to track proficiency, to know the level of proficiency and mastery of your students. And the main purpose of this is to give grades. So this is all about the 3 types of assessment. Okay, so thank you again for watching to this video. Have a good. I would like to present also the specific suggestions and guidelines in writing type of exam. But before I present to you the guidelines, let's try to have first a short review about matching type of exam. So we know in a matching type of exam, it consists of 2 parallel columns, okay, with each word, number, or symbol in one column. being matched to a word, sentence, or phrase in other column. Item in column A or one for which a match is shown are called premises, and the items in column 2 or column B from which the selection is made are called the responses. So this is the characteristic of a matching type of test. So in a matching type of test, we can have perfect matching type or we can also have imperfect matching type. So as we go on, you will be able to get or to differentiate the two types of the matching type of test. Okay, so let's concentrate first on the perfect matching type. These are suggestions when we are writing perfect matching type of test. Items for matching are homogeneous. If you match authors with their literary work, just that, don't mix provinces and their capitals nor dates and events. Only concentrate to authors and their literary work. Okay, so we make all these items in the matching type of test they should be related from the study. Okay. Number two, premises for the questions which are longer than the answer should be in column 1 or column A, numbered as 1, 2, 3, and so on. For the third suggestion for a perfect matching type, the options or answers should be in column 2, marked with the letters of the alphabet. Okay, so kanina, doon sa ating premises or mga questions natin, they should be numbered, okay, from 1 to 10, so on. However, in the option or in column 2 or column B, they should be in alphabets or letters, okay, small letters or letters. So these are the important general suggestions for a perfect matching type of test. For the fourth one, the options should be arranged alphabetically. Okay. For the fifth, if options consist of numbers, they should be arranged chronologically. For six, the number of options must be more than. Take note, this is the difference between perfect and imperfect. For the perfect matching type of test, the number of options must be more than the number of premises. Lalagay doon sa options mo by premises. Okay, so that the answers cannot be arrived at the process of doing elimination. For the seventh one, tell the examiners what to do by giving clear and complete direction. So this is all about giving directions in the matching type test. Okay. For number 8, label column 1 and column 2 or column A and column B. Okay. Okay. So these are 9 important general specific suggestions when we are writing the imperfect matching type. Dalawa. The first one, the answer or answers will be repeated. Ito po yung this is the as an imperfect matching type. Answers may we are using it is very important in the direction that answers can be repeated. Okay? Perfect matching type of example. Just consider the whole perfect matching type of example. Just consider the whole, just the first 7 rules in the perfect matching type. Ito na po yung magiging rule number 2 for the imperfect matching type that we need to consider. Know the important when we are constructing matching type of example. Alright, so I hope you got it right. So thank you again for watching to my video. And hello once again guys. So this another video presentation will be all about the suggestions or guidelines when constructing a true or false type of example. But before I present you the 8 important specific suggestions in true or false, we know that type of type is one. That one has to respond or mark true or right or wrong, correct or incorrect, yes or no, fact or opinion, agree or disagree, or the like. It is a test made up of items which allows dichotomous response. So from the word dichotomous, it has two items. now the 8 important specific suggestions when writing multiple true or false type of test. Okay, so the first one is you need to present the correct part of the statement first and vary the truth or falsity of the next word and vary the truth or falsity of the next part in the statement expresses the relationship the relationship between what or next or between then. Okay, for the second one, every part of the true sentence must be true. If any part of the sentence is false, the true sentence must be false. Find another true statement. For the third, do not copy verbatim from textbooks. For the fourth suggestion, we need to include background, qualification, interpretation, open to interpret part, a long time ago, most, negative words and phrases, basically altered, capitalized, italicized, and or color indication. Example, no, not, cannot. So these are negative words that we need to avoid. Okay. For the sixth, build up to difficulty. Encourage with simpler questions first. From easy to difficult, yung idea and arrangement ng sample. Yes. Okay. Specific suggestion number 7. Suggestion number 7, randomize sequences of true or false response. Avoid a discernible pattern. And for the last one, vary the quantity of true or false statements from test. Sometimes true is marked more open and daring, and that assessing false statements tends to be more challenging. So these are the 8 important suggestions in writing or when writing a true or false type of exam. So again, I would like to thank you for watching again to my this video, and please wait for another video presentation. I'll be talking to you the important general suggestions in writing when it comes to assessing. We need to consider this. We need to be an expert in assessing, okay, our students. We need to be an expert assessor or examiner. So good teachers should possess the following competencies in assessment. First, we need to have this great methods. Okay, we need to consider the way we select appropriate testing. Okay, then the second one is we need to develop ourselves in selecting appropriate tools. Of course, in this case, we need to consider the nature of our learners. The learning styles of our learners, or maybe the intelligence of our learners. Okay? So, we need to think appropriate assessment tool or assessment instrument that is really fitted to this varied learning. One test format to all these students. Okay, we need to give varied assessment tools because these assessment tools are reliable tools that are really fitted to these varied learners in our classroom. Next is the process or the way we administer assessment. This is a very important competency. Try to imagine if this is a very important competency. Try to imagine you don't know how to administer the exam. That's why students cheated during that particular exam. Or you don't know total failure data. Okay? For you to we need to go the way we score the exams of our students and the way we interpret the data or the way we interpret the scores of these students are very much needed in the assessment process as test examiner or test developer. Okay. Next, for the fourth one, we need to apply assessment data in instruction. This is the result of the assessment. So if this is the result of the assessment, what will I do then? Okay, you think possible way to teach now your learners, because this is the result of. If establishing student grading procedures, okay, this is also a very important competency, okay, or maybe possible solution of this problem. One is the employing assessment in legal and ethical manner, okay. So as future teacher and future as future teacher and future examiner. This quotation or statement, modern teachers should not only be or statement, modern teachers should not only be limited on how to construct test items, but they should also know how to administer and score them. They should approach assessment in a much wider perspective, that of utilizing assessment tools appropriately, communicating assessment results properly, and employing assessment of and manners. So this will now be the end of this video clip presentation. Have a good day everyone, and thank you for watching to my video. Hello everyone, for this video, I'll be classifying into format. There are actually two major classifications of tests according to its format, according to their formats. One of which is the standardized test, and the second one is the teacher-made test. When we say standardized tests, these are actually tests that have been carefully constructed by experts in the light of accepted objectives. And for the teacher-made test, these are constructed by classroom teachers, which measures and appraise student progress of specific classroom and instructional objectives. These are different examples of standardized tests that we need to have: objective type, or we can have essay type, or we can also call it as the subjective test. Okay, so when we say objective type of test, answers are in the form of a single word or phrase or maybe symbols. Okay, and for essay type, essay questions provide freedom of response that is needed to adequately assess students' ability to formulate, organize, integrate, and evaluate information or knowledge and skills. So as you can see in the PowerPoint presentation, there are several types of objective exams. Okay? We can classify further objective type of exam as limited response type and the free response type or the supply type of test. Under this limited type of test, the true or false type of test, or we can say the alternative response. For the free response type or supply type, which is or maybe completion test. Under this essay type of exam, we can use or we can give restricted essays or extended essays. So these are the two types of essay type of exam. We have the restricted and extended. So let's concentrate first to the two objective type of test, which are the limited response type and the free response type or supply type of test. If we define limited response type of test, this requires students to select the answer from a given number of alternatives, or while in free response type or supply type of test, it requires students to supply or give the correct answer. So this will be the difference between the limited response type and the free response type or the supply type of test. So under this limited response type of test, as we said a while back, we can use multiple choice type of test, okay, of which it consists of STEM, okay, each of which presents 3 to 5 alternatives or the options, in which only one is correct or definitely better than the other. The correct options or choice or alternative in each item is merely called answers or answer, and the rest of the alternatives are called distractors, or we can also call it as decoys or maybe foils. Okay, so these are the other words, okay, other term for the distractors. These are the wrong answers or wrong choices in the given multiple choice test item. Okay, false, make correct or incorrect, or maybe yes or no, fact or opinion, agree or disagree, and the like. It is a test made up of items which allows dichotomous responses. From the word dichotomous means there are only two possible choices. It is the type. Okay? This consists of two parallel columns. Each word, number, or symbol being matched to or a word or sentence or maybe phrase in the items in column 1 or maybe column A. A match is sought or called premises, and the items in column 2 or column B, premise used in column A or column 1. The response is look at column B or column 2. So that is matching type of test. For the free response type, as we said a while back, we can have short answer type of this what we call completion type of test. This what we call completion type of test. So when we differentiate the two, under short answer, it uses direct question that can be answered by a word, by a phrase, number, or symbol. While in completion type of test, it consists of an incomplete statement that can also be answered by a word, phrase, number, or symbol. Okay? So the difference between the two is in the short answer, it is a direct question, while in the completion type of test is they need to fill up to complete a particular statement blank on that particular. So let's consider objective type of test, and that is the essay type of test. So as we said a while back, there are two classifications. We can have restricted essay, or we can also go or give extended. Major concern here is to differentiate the two. Okay, so when we say restricted essay, this limits both the content and the response. Content is usually restricting factual information that they think pertinent to organize their answers in accordance with their best judgment and to integrate an scoring. Okay, in terms of scoring, it is very difficult to score extended essay because as we know, essays are based from the opinions of the learner. Cannot immediately say their answers are wrong. Okay, so in giving marks for these essay responses, we need to use a tool which will be our guide in giving marks or scores on these outputs of our student, and this tool is what we call the scoring rubric. Okay, so these are examples of restricted essay. Okay, restricted essay. First, describe the situations that demonstrate the application of the law or of supply and demand. Do not use those examples discussed in the class. So in this first situation, we have already restricted the response of the students, okay, in answering this particular essay question or essay assignment or essay activity, which is not requiring yung possible response. Okay, do not use those examples discussed in class. second situation is state the main difference between the Vietnam War and the previous wars in which the United States has participated. The United States has participated. Okay? Vietnam Wars and previous wars, kunana. However, we will only consider the United States. We will only consider the United States, the participation of the United States. And we know all of the all entire the world, okay, participated different wars, global wars. Okay, so however, in this particular situation, we only concentrate to the participation of the United States. So that's why we have already restricted the topic, okay, in answering that particular essay, by simply dealing with the participation of the United States for this Vietnam War and other previous wars. Okay, this is the second scenario. So for the second one, we again restrict the this particular activity. For the third, why is barometer one of the most useful instrument for forecasting weather? Okay, answer in brief paragraph. There are expected fixed answers, not any answer. Distribute the number of item one. The last one is to group together questions belonging to specific classification. Okay. Column headers in this case, area of contents, number of hours, or number of recitations, number of items, and their placement. Okay. So the area of content, these are now the list of topics, or these are the list of objectives. Then the second it is okay, yung step number 5 natin dyan. And the last column will be the item placement or test placement na tinatawag. On these 8 items under the first topic, what items will be the items for of these 8 items? Ano yung mga items na magpo-fall dito sa definitions of terms na yun? Asan yung 8? Okay? Where are the 8 items? So this is the item placement. So these are important parts of a one-way table of specification. So for you to be able to come up with the number of items, okay, for you to be able to come up with the number of items, utilizing the PowerPoint, this is the range of items. It is equal to the number of hours. It is equal to 7 over 40 multiplied by 45. That we have, okay, all your lessons. That is 40 hours. Then yung 45 dyan is your desired number of items. Ito yung gusto kong ibigay sa mga bata na exam when it comes to number of items, 45 items ang gusto ko. So we will multiply that by 45. So we need to do arithmetic here. We will have 7 divided by 40, and that will be equal to 0.175 multiplied it by 45, and we will come up with 7.9 or 8, which is now the range of our test items in the definition of terms a while back kanina. So yan, from 7 hours na tinuro itong topic na definition of. So from 45, among these 45 items na plano mong ibigay sa kanila, we will be taking 8. I want to verify the other combinations and number of items in this given number. Verify 3. Verify.
Let's go mga lord. Maraming gabi po sa inyong lahat. This is REO again in the house. Time check po. It's 8:36 in the evening. Today is Wednesday. Tuesday, sorry. Philippine time. Shoutout po sa lahat ng nanonood at sa lahat po ng nanood kanina po sa aking premiere. Mega love shoutout po sa inyong lahat, mga kaibigan. Kalimutang itamsak po si host po. Maraming salamat sa inyo po. Mega love shoutout po sa inyo. Pasok kaibigan, maglapag kayo ng bahay. This is my 31st live streaming for my Paangat program po. Mega love shoutout po sa inyo. So my schedule po for my LS is every day from 6 p.m. until 12 midnight. Maraming salamat po sa lahat ng tumatangkilik po sa kay REO at sa lagi pong bumibisita sa kanyang bahay po, kahit na konti lang po tayo, at least ang bumibisita pa rin po kayo to give. Maglapag na po kayo if you are there people. I'm ready to give you bananas. Shoutout po sa lahat po. Halina po mga kasama at magtulungan po tayong umangat. This is REO in the mega love shoutout po sa inyong lahat po. Maraming salamat po sa pagbisita po sa bahay ni REO. Shoutout po sa lahat ng nanonood ngayon sa bahay ni REO. Maraming salamat po sa aking streaming for my Paangat program po. At po bahay mo. Maraming salamat mo sa po mga live streaming and aking mga linalapag po ng mga videos. Mega love shoutout sa 3 million viewers. Maraming salamat po sa pagbisita po. This is Mac REO in the house. In the house. Nag-love shoutout sa nanonood. Nag-love shoutout. Maraming salamat po sa pagbisita po. Maraming salamat din po sa patamsak po. How are you po, Maria Christine? Shoutout po mga friends. Okay po, Maria Christine Jellison. Mega love shoutout po sa iyo, Maria Christine Jellison. Tipin po kita ha. Nadikitan mo na ba po si Kwan? Si Noemi Ruth Ritutar? Miss Maria Christine Jellison po. Padikitan mo po si Noemi Ruth para mabalikan kanya. Maria Christine, nandito po si Noemi Ruth Ritutar. Pwede mo pong balikan po. Kung dati kayong dikit, mag-iwan ka lang po ng isang tamsak po or banana. Salamat Maria Christine Joy Jellison. Bisitahin ko nga po yung bahay mo po. Bisitahin ko lang po ha. Bisitahin ko po. Standby ka lang dyan. Maraming salamat po sa iyo. May harang ka po pala, Ma'am Maria Christine. So good for you po. So sorry. Jellison TV. Tamsakan ko po ha. Tamsakan ko po. Salamat po. Mag-iwan po ako ng tamsak po para sa iyo po, Jellison TV. Mega love shoutout. Nag-iwan po ako, Christine Joy Jellison. Nag-iwan ako ng tamsak para kay Jellison TV. Mapalit ka na ba, Mamon Host? What do you mean po? Hindi ko po maintindihan po. Hindi ko po naintindihan po. Maria Christine Jellison.
Hey, what's up mga Rudy? Nagpapasalamat nga pala ako sa inyong suporta. At ipagpatuloy nyo lang ang pag-like, share at pag-subscribe.
Paki-reward mo po, Ma'am Maria.
Mix na darating.
What do you mean po yung magpalit ka na ba ng mamon po? Hindi ko po maintindihan. Sorry po. Lapit na ba, Mamon, ikaw host? Kunti na lang po, Maria Christine.